Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today, we're looking at the DR4 Viking. The DR4 Viking is a dropship that was used by the fleet of the United Citizen Federation for transportation of mobile infantry troops. These ships have been used in missions during the conflicts with the Arachnids during the First Bug War, as well as others. All right, technology and weapon systems. If I can only read here this morning. Okay, designed for the mass deployment of mobile infantry forces on enemy planets, the DR4 Viking was built as a robust and sturdy craft, large in size, with redundancies to ensure safe atmospheric reentry and flight. To achieve this, the craft was built with a pair of primary thrusters for forward propulsion, as well as two sets of twin VTOL engines for landing, with each set fitted between the main drop bay and the landing arms. Each of these arms are equipped with an additional set of three smaller maneuvering engines and landing struts for steady landings. The Viking was designed with a variety of redundancies as well, such as a reliable autopilot should the craft's operators lose control, or if manual flight was rendered inoperable. However, the craft had no system designed to control the loss of life support if the ship were to suffer a hull breach. Despite this role as a dropship, the DR 4 was very well armed, with four twin heavy cannons designed to provide covering fire to clear a landing zone or support landing troops. The main cockpit had a set of twin cannons on each side, with the other twin cannons mounted on the sides of the landing arms. All were mounted on ball joints for a wide firing arc. Supplementing these heavy cannons were a pair of twin light cannons mounted on the main body of the craft, on either side of the cockpit near the landing arms. Mounted atop the craft was a twin mortar system capable of firing long distance artillery shells, though it was usually for firing off volleys of flares, meant to mark a clear landing zone for other landing ships to use. These systems were all controlled by the gunnery officers and the crew on the dropship. All right, each dropship was capable of mounting a large troop bay, which was split into two compartments. Each compartment held 21 seats, with 20 against the sides of the bay and an additional seat being placed in the center for platoon officers. Each seat was spacious enough that troops could wear radio and supply packs and sit comfortably uh, next to each other. Next to each seat was a mounting socket for the soldier's main weapon, such as the Mordia Mark I, as well as several seat harnesses to secure each soldier to ensure their survival on the way to the landing zone. These troop bays were capable of being removed or replaced either by cable harnesses designed for the dropships to carry early stage mechs, drop supply drops, or possibly additional heavy weapons for ground support. One known Viking had its troop bay replaced with a VIP compartment to house the Sky Marshal. Okay, looking at the history here, the DR 4 is the primary dropship used by the Federation, being able to carry a platoon of troopers in its large hangars. These were heavily used throughout both Bug Wars. Sky Marshal Omar Anok used the Admiral's boat variant of the DR 4 Viking to visit Roku San Military Assistance Base for an inspection. This shuttle was later landed on OM1, however, its environmental system failed, killing its crew before landing automatically. During the Battle of Kawasha, a gunship variant of the DR 4 Viking was available for close fire support. All right, so looking at the different variants that we know we have, the dropship variant, primary dropship for mobile infantry deployment, heavily used in every campaign until replaced during the Second Bug War. Now we have the transport. This variant of the DR4 had its troop section removed and could be requested for fire support by tactical officers. These were also used to deploy the ARC devices into the surface, or onto the surface, I should say. Then, last but not least, we have the VIP shuttle. This variant had a troop bay replaced with a more comfortable quarter suitable for senior officers along with a Marine squad. All right. Director Paul Van Hoven mentioned that the ships were inspired by the landing craft used in the Normandy assault. Indeed, the ships had it can be seen opening up at a landing as ramps, much like the Higgins boats on Normandy. Viking dropships have been shown being deployed from corvette transports and Athena class starships, only with later Starship models lacking the distinctive hangar bays used for the DR4 Viking. It's funny that we get back to looking at something much like the Higgins boat. Um, because we've seen that, okay, most notably here as well as in Star Wars. When you look at the sequel trilogy that Disney had done, the landing craft is essentially a star version of a Higgins boat where the pilot's sitting all the way up on top on a small kind of capsule up there. And then pretty much they just took a Higgins model and and they just kind of covered it over. We do have one gunnery spot in the back, which is very reminiscent of the Higgins boat there as well. And to say that like Star Trek, we take the shuttle, but later on in the movie series, we see the back ramp just dropping down much the same way, but it's being used as a shuttle, and then everyone can just pile out. So that same premise has been copied over and over in so many different franchises. Which is wonderful. I mean, it gives a testament to just the simplicity of trying to get someone onto the planet in the simplest way you can go about doing it. All right, we do have a couple pictures here. Most notably, everyone remembers all the Marines trying, or mobile infantry trying to get loaded up onto the transports here, as well as just being kind of hauled out and then dropped, and they go from there. It's funny though. I will say this: I never really paid when I was watching it a lot of attention to where all the guns were. I was just looking at it as just the shuttle device to get people from point A to point B. As we kind of finish up looking at the couple pictures I'm clicking on here, and it's nice to see all this stuff, because I just took it as just nothing but the movie franchise. Um, Not really getting into the role playing game sense because I've always kind of gone more for Star Wars or BattleTech or whatever else have you. Um, but looking at everything that is here, this mashes so easily into any of the other franchises if you wish to, or just keeping it on its own. There's a lot of great possibilities here for its own, just an active combat role playing game. So, with that, let's get on over to our right up here and go from there. Let's see, I think it's right here. Okay, trying to make sure I have the right tab. All right, so the Viking landing boat, DR4 Viking landing boat is the craft type. This is at starfighter scale. We have a length of 15 meters. We have a mass of 110 metric tons. We have one crew of one with gunners of one. Passengers is 40 troopers. Cargo capacity is 9.07 metric tons. And this has a maneuverability of a brick being at a 0D. Has an atmospheric flight of 330 kilometers an hour, capable of orbit and re entry. This is something different, and I will point this out because normally with like Star Wars, when we see it, our entry speed is one speed, and our climb back out of an atmosphere is usually a slower speed there. So it is kind of interesting the fact that we just have a single speed going down as well as coming back. So a hull of a 6D plus 2, so it's very tough and resilient here. Our sensor packet having a passive scan out to 1.5 kilometers with a plus 1 bonus, an active scan out to 3 kilometers with a plus 2 bonus, an active search out to 4.5 kilometers at a 1D bonus, and an active focus out to 200 meters with a 1D plus 1 bonus. Okay, so we have four MW 50/50 autocannons, two forward, one port, one starboard. So this is varying a little bit different from what our wiki write up was saying, that there's only the four of them, not four plus an additional two. Okay, so please keep that in mind. We have a fire control of 1D and a damage of 4D. Now that's going to be for each one. They do not have these listed as being fire fire linked. My mind's just suddenly blanking here. Okay, so the description we have here on the D6 Holocron, listing it as the heavy armored shed on jets, is commonly used as a transport troops to transport troops from orbiting carriers to a planetary drop zone. These landing boats, unlike drop boats, do not have the capability to drop uh, cap troops and instead deliver their complement of troops by effecting a direct landing. The standard Viking landing boat requires a crew of two pilots and can deliver a whole platoon of troopers, their equipment and supplies to the planet's surface. Landing boats are extremely robust, if rather slow. Their lack of speed is not so much as a problem on planetary approaches, since gravity assisted descents are, by definition, rapid. However, since their ability to climb to higher altitudes is so slow, lighter, faster, and more maneuverable craft are favored for high speed extractions. So they do touch in a little bit on this. I would say that you could easily almost triple your atmospheric entry, but then when you lift off and go back, it might be 330 kilometers an hour, um, which is very quick to begin with. I'm not trying to say, because if you're just trying to shoot straight up, you're going to get there fairly quick. But coming down, having the gravity assist, which is usually what we see in our drop ships, that will be significantly faster. So, with that being said, thank you so very much for joining me today. It's wonderful having you here. I hope you're doing well, and I will see you in the next video.